this is an initiative that is going to help Canadian families in a significant measure as people are getting ready to send their kids to camp, to day camp today, as they're thinking about school supplies, thinking about the new shoes they're going to need for the fall. This is going to make a real impact.
Now, as we said, Rosemary Barton, host of Power and Politics, sat down with the Prime Minister a little while ago. She joins me now from Ottawa. So, Rosie, day one for the government's new Canada Child Benefit. So let's cut to the chase. What's in it and who pays for it?
So there's a lot of money there. It's $22 billion over 5 years. And if you look at the government's own figures, it's about 9 out of 10 families that are going to receive it. The big difference between what families were getting before and what they're getting now is that this is means tested. It's based on your income. So if you make what the government considers a lot of money, $200,000 or more per family, you're not going to get anything anymore. That $160 that was a universal benefit under the previous government, that goes away, and you won't get part of this. But for the Canadians and the Canadian families that this government considers middle class, you should get about what you were getting, or most likely more, is what they say. And particularly for the families that have the least amount of money. Say if you're making only $30,000 annually, if you're a single mother, for instance, then you're going to get the maximum benefit, which in this case amounts to about $6,400 annually. They say that overall, this will help more families. It will help more families get out of poverty. It will help more of the middle class. It'll be certainly more targeted. And the way they're going to pay for it is, first of all, by eliminating some of the things that were there under the previous government, lots of tax benefits like that fitness credit, for instance, but also by making sure that the people who are better off in society aren't getting the help universally, so that they can help others get a little more additional help. Here's what the Prime Minister had to say about it.
The fact is, making sure that on average, 9 out of 10 families are going to get $200 more tax-free in their bank accounts every month because of this Canada Child Benefit. It's one of the most significant pieces of policy that are going to impact Canadians in a long time. You talk about low-income families, we're going to lift about 300,000 kids out of poverty across the country with this measure.
So the money is there this morning. If you have kids and you are a family, go and check your bank account. It should be there this morning. You'll get an idea of how much you're getting. From a political perspective, though, the Prime Minister is out really pushing this very hard today, as are all members of the government. This was one of their key promises during the election campaign. It plays to their promise of trying to help those who they consider to be middle-class Canadians. So they want to demonstrate, obviously, to Canadians that on this issue, they are delivering.
And Rosie, you also talked about the Canadian economy. What did the Prime Minister say about that?
Yeah, I mean, there is some weakening of the Canadian economy because of some obvious things. The Alberta wildfires, the ongoing dip in the price of oil, the Brexit decision in the UK had a bit of an impact here at home. So one of the questions that, we wanted to ask him was, does this in any way shape or change how you're going to approach pipeline decisions, which would help diversify market access for Canadian natural resources? He's going to have at least 2 decisions in front of Cabinet within the next 6 months. He says he'll make those decisions, based on whether he has public trust built for a particular pipeline. But on another issue that is inevitably going to come up in Whitehorse today, where the premiers are meeting, that's the issue of a carbon tax. We know that the Environment Minister and provinces have to come up with something in the coming weeks. And there has been musing about whether a national carbon tax would in fact be imposed even on provinces who have something already in place. Here's what the Prime Minister had to say about that.
In order to build a strong economy, we have to be serious about protecting the environment, and putting a price on carbon is going to be an essential element of that. Now, provinces are open to doing what it is they need to do. We're going to be looking at making sure that the way they do that is going to be sufficient to both protect our environment and reduce our emissions. We're going to look at different ways of doing it. We're going to be making sure that there is a strong price on carbon right across the country, and we're hoping that the provinces are going to be able to do that in a way for themselves.
So it'll be interesting to hear from premiers like Brad Wall and others who are resistant to the idea of something, first of all, being imposed on them from the federal government, but also the idea about whether provinces are doing, and I think the language by the Prime Minister there is interesting, whether the provinces are doing enough, whether it is sufficient. What does the federal government view as sufficient? And if it isn't enough, what will the federal government then do to make provinces get to those emission reductions? Lots of questions for the days ahead.